how did the system navigate you being 19? Because I feel
Mhm.
like the system by function is so bureaucratically heavy and complicated that one, you may not necessarily have known the processes and avenues of how to navigate the health system in Ontario. But then being young female, you might have been probably dismissed, right? What was that like?
I think, honestly, we were a little lucky. I'm gonna say a little lucky because there were parts of it that took a really long time, and there were parts of it that were easier than what I've heard from other people. I think that I was lucky in the fact that I was so young, and I think that the final specialist we had ended up with, I don't think had ever really encountered a 19-year-old girl calling the office 3 times a day, which I was doing at a certain point, to say my mom needs an appointment immediately and we're not waiting a year, which is what they had initially given us. I think that they felt bad for me, honestly. And I think that if I had been their typical demographic, maybe they would have said, "No, please," but because I was calling and saying, like, "I need help. There's something wrong with my mom," they even said to me, we don't have this." They moved her appointment up. So in some ways, it was in my favor, frankly. In other ways, it wasn't, because you're right. People, I don't think, took me as seriously, especially in the hospital. I found that when she was admitted in the hospital and I was talking to, I'm not like, it wasn't one specific healthcare worker, but many different ones. I don't think they took me seriously because it's like, who is this little girl or who is this young
Mm.
girl? I also experienced that because I cared for my grandmother as well in between this. And I definitely had that with her, where they would be like, "Why is no one here?" Right? Like, "Why aren't you coming? What's going on?" And I'm like, "I'm the only one that could possibly show up." And they're like, "Why are you not here more?" "Well, because I'm in school." Like, this is not, but again, they didn't understand because they're so used to someone coming in who's older with these people. So I don't, frankly, like, though, I don't really care what people think about me when I'm advocating for people that I love. I was approached as a difficult caregiver a lot of times, and that just fueled me more to be like, "Okay, well, I mean, then I'm doing something right. I'm going to keep pushing your buttons until you do what we need you to do." So it was a bit of back and forth, but the system never, I don't think it ever played me because I ended up doing exactly what I needed to do at the end of the day.
What advice would you then say to a caregiver that's in your position, early 20s, late teens, that is going through this space? Because we're hearing about it a lot right now with
Yeah.
especially with FTD. So
Yeah.
what would you say?
I'd say, A, don't try to do everything yourself like I did if you don't have to. I mean, there's not always an option, but I think that I thought I was a superhero and I could do everything alone. And I think that I probably should have called on other people more than I did. But I'm like, nope, leave it to me, which is very much my personality. So, A, I wouldn't be a hero, but I would also say that we can't do it all. And so you have to be mindful of the fact that you have a lot of different things going on. You are also coming of age. You're trying to figure out what you're doing in life and where you're at. Can't give up all of ourselves to provide care because you also have a future that you need to depend on. Like, this is the time where we're building the foundations of our future. Be mindful of everything happening, but do what you can. Lean on others when you're able to. We cannot do everything by ourselves. But also, if you're the only one that can speak up and be there, speak your voice. You may feel like people don't take you seriously and don't trust you, but when you have an opportunity to talk, just say what you know, because you know this person likely better than anybody in front of you. And that's what's important.
No matter where you're watching the Dementia Collective from, if you get anything from this at all, anything, please like, comment, and subscribe. And most importantly, share this everywhere you possibly can. And if you're feeling extra generous, head to Apple Podcasts and Spotify and leave us a 5-star review.